It all starts with an idea that can be summarized in a storyboard, mine in a comic book style. These are the first images in this story, a story called Taking a Break. In this video, we will put together this particular image. Let's take a look at how that's done. Hello, welcome to the channel. This is Mix Photo and 3D. My name is Per Cadell. This video is about 10 minutes long, and it takes way more time than that to create a VFX image, so this will not be a detailed mouse click tutorial on how to create the perfect sphere, but rather an overview of my work process. I create these images to learn Blender and because I love the idea of extending the photographic light with digital light. And in doing so, creating whatever I feel like without being restricted to what's in front of the camera lens. This gives me creative freedom. So, let's do this! This video is divided into 12 chapters, one for each production step. The 3D assets I need for this image are Gordon Steffi, of course, and their glass stands, and a banged up surfboard. To achieve this broken nose of the surfboard, I use shape keys, material discoloration in combination with displacement. Not to forget the cabin bag. The shop owner was kind enough to let me use this window space for some snappy photos. Very kind of him. I used a Sony Alpha camera with a 24mm lens for this background image, and a Ricoh Theta camera for capturing this 360 HDRI. In Darktable, I made the two images look similar enough to function in conjunction with each other. The two images will be used as the background image and as the 360 lighting dome in Blender. Before matching the camera, we must decide which perspective to use, a 1-point, 2-point or a 3-point perspective. The vertical lines in this image are fairly parallel, which suggests a 2-point perspective. In fSpy, the red reference lines are used for aligning the x-axis, the green for y. I position the world coordinate system at the corner of the carpet and enter the measurements of the carpet's width, 0.9 meters. With the reference that the photo gives, it is now possible to create geometry required for the light and shadow interaction with the characters. I create the carpet, the floor, and the surrounding pavement. First, I move the characters roughly into position, and then I set their poses on frame 100. I save alembic motion files for cloth simulation in Marvelous Designer. I'm playing the alembic motion file to simulate the garments to its end position. In this particular image, Gordon's shirt should not be tucked and buttons have to be unbuttoned. Here we go, much more relaxed. It is common with particle systems in a VFX image. In this case, particles and geometry nodes were used for this shattered glass. And as in previous videos, particle systems are used for the characters' wigs. Let's set up some lights. To see what's going on, I start with a black scene. The first light I crank up is this emission from the world HDRI. The ground floor covers part of the 360 emission, so to compensate for that, I let the floor material emit some light as well. Then I add area lights serving as overcast sky, lighting Gordon and Steffi. I add a little area light to give some depth and rim to Steffi's round glass foot. Up here, I will organize my render layers and render passes. I start with the beauty pass of Gordon and Steffi. Then I do a beauty pass with a shattered glass. We want to see the reflection of the characters in the door window, so I prepare a glossy indirect pass for that. And then we need the ground to receive shadows and to bounce off some indirect diffuse and glossiness. So a layer with 2 passes is created for that as well. Then I save all of it using the multi-layered EXR format. Up here you find the Compositing window. I have arranged a little node tree here. On top we have the background image. Looks like this with a denoise and brightness contrast node hooked up. Multiplied over is the ground shadow. You see the shadow here from Steffi and the surfboard. Added over that is ground diffuse indirect and glossy indirect. Then we have the beauty pass of the shattered glass, added with an alpha over node. The same procedure with alpha over for adding our characters. And here in the window, we want to see the reflections of the characters, so we add that over. With the viewer node selected, I save this image for further work. In Luminar, I crop the image. And then I adjust the exposure and white balance to make it a bit cooler. I think there is too much orange in this image, so I reduce that and add some yellow instead. To make the yellow more interesting, I counter it a bit, adding some blue in the shadow colors. The last thing I do is to add vignetting. That's it, the image is ready. 3D takes time, there are so many things to consider. Be patient with yourself and your creative process. If you would like to see more of this content, you know the drill. Like and subscribe. Thank you. The beginning of the Gordon and Steffi saga can be found here to the left, and to the right you can see the previous episode if you have missed that one. It has been good to have you. Take care now. See ya!